While there are allegedly more than 50 Navy personnel who witnessed these UFOs, nearly all are afraid to come forward. But Lieutenant Ryan Graves has been summoned to the nation's capital. They want to hear what happened when a fleet of UFOs appeared to stalk his carrier strike group.
Hey,
Steve. Listen, I was going through my notes. I was wondering if maybe I could share a few thoughts with you, get your opinion on a few things.
Yeah, no problem.
Lou Elizondo's investigation has raised a critical question. Why were the UFOs captured in all 3 F-18 videos seen near U.S. Navy carrier strike groups, even following one of them into a war zone?
How do you know that a foreign adversary hasn't leapfrogged us in technology by a generation? How do you know we're not just seeing the new jet of the future?
If anyone might know the answer, it's Steve Justice. In his 3 decades at Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, he helped design some of America's most advanced attack aircraft.
Why would it be near carrier battle group? Okay, so what was the carrier doing at the time? Workups?
Yep, it was doing workups.
Okay, ready for deployment. Okay, and so would that be something an adversary would want to see?
Damn well we want to know, yeah. I want to know anything and everything that our foreign adversaries are doing. And a workup is a perfect place to do it.
Right, because comms and everything are being used.
Well, and you're going to see that thing working as it's working in the field, and that's what I want to know.
Right.
But what happens when you don't have the pilots recognizing what it is and it's behaving in a way that these guys and pilots are saying, I have no clue.
Well, that's when you start seeing the expletives come over the radio.
That's fair. Expletives. A foreign adversary can't just send in a typical reconnaissance aircraft because we won't let them into our area. They would have to send in something that's super, super low observable, something that is super sophisticated and fast that can get in, look at what it is we're doing, and then get back out, right? I mean, we want that capability, so why wouldn't a foreign adversary?
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's why I continue to doggedly pursue these what-if scenarios.
My greatest fear is that an adversary did figure it out, and we are just way, 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 way behind.
In their work inside highly classified programs, both Elizondo and Justice had access to much more information than they're able to reveal.
I think we owe it to ourselves. I think we owe it to everybody that is relying on us to collect the information and be fair and objective, right? I'm really desperately trying to do that. But at the same time, I feel a little bit disingenuous because sometimes, you know, I might have inside knowledge.
There's a lot of stuff that you have to leave partitioned off, okay? But I would say there's just too many pieces of the puzzle that don't make sense, and it represents a set of capabilities that seem new to everybody in the community.
If these aircraft had Russian or Chinese markings on them, and they were zipping in and out of an aircraft carrier battle group, there would be a budget, you know, the size of this building designed to get to the bottom of how did they develop that, and how do we replicate it, and how do we defeat it? But none of that is happening here, as far as we can tell.
If these craft were sent by a foreign adversary, Elizondo says that threat would need to be reported to lawmakers.
If anybody had this leapfrog technology, this would be a national intelligence collection priority, period. All hands on deck, Congress would be engaged. But we know that's not the case. We know that as a fact because we're talking to the highest levels of Congress, we're feeding them information. We know Congress is just as surprised by this as Joe Q. Public.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that for me is, I mean, that's a deal breaker. And if that's why I'm saying, if it is a foreign capability going on and this hasn't occurred, dude, heads are gonna roll. That's illegal. There's laws against that. You have to inform Congress.
Something allegedly has been stalking America's nuclear-powered carrier strike groups, but neither Lou Elizondo or Steve Justice believe it's an enemy we know.
I want to be careful we're not belligerent, you know, saying the Russians, the Chinese, that they're the big bad enemy, because when it comes to this phenomena, they're really not. They're in the same boat we're in. Hey, man. Unfortunately, I'm no longer interested in communicating about the matter we discussed earlier. I hope you can understand this. Good luck with everything. He's spooked. This is the second guy in a week now that was part of that effort on the Roosevelt in 2015 that we've lost.
Lou Elizondo convinced Navy pilot Lieutenant Ryan Graves to go public about his squadron's extraordinary encounters with UFOs.
I've had conversations with friends from other squadrons. It's just, hey, there's stuff out there. I hope we don't hit it now because they're out there enough where someone could potentially have a midair. Something needs to be done.
But after months of trying to persuade other pilots from the USS Theodore Roosevelt to speak out, Elizondo's hit a wall. The jet's weapons systems officer, allegedly heard throughout the Roosevelt videos,
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
has backed out of an interview.
The person's voice you hear in that video, that is the guy that we were in contact with. This had the potential to really help shed light to get a better handle of what's going on. Kind of sucks, actually.
While there are allegedly more than 50 Navy personnel who witnessed these UFOs, nearly all are afraid to come forward.
So how you been, man?
Good.
So, how you feeling about this?
I'm feeling pretty good.
But Lieutenant Ryan Graves has been summoned to the nation's capital for a closed-door meeting with members of Congress responsible for national security. They want to hear what happened when a fleet of UFOs appeared to stalk his carrier strike group.
I'm not here to speculate or guess what it is. I can just simply provide as many facts as I can about this.
The fact that Lieutenant Graves is willing to put his career at risk and speak out publicly about this while he's still active duty military really speaks volumes about the frustration in trying to work through the system. One can only hope that his courage will be rewarded and that people will pay attention.
What would you like to walk away with at the end of this meeting you're about to have today?
There's two issues here. One, people aren't paying attention. And two, there's a credibility problem and a stigma related to this. By observing hard facts and data from professionals and from our sensor systems, we can bring this to light in such a way that you can't just refute by saying, I don't believe you.
Man, I hope you get a chance to tell them that.
Like Lieutenant Graves, Lou Elizondo made his own decision to speak out when he quit the Pentagon's secret UFO unit in 2017.
I think what Lou Elizondo and others have done is kind of break that mold a little bit, where it's okay to talk about this stuff. I mean, I've asked members of Congress about it, and they will tell me, yeah, you know, there may be something to this. There's also a new generation of members of Congress. They're younger, they're more open-minded, they're not afraid to ask tough questions. I think we're now seeing a generation of elected leaders, but also national security officials who are more willing to talk about this issue and don't see it as much as a third rail.
I think ultimately it's a discussion the American people have to have with themselves, and then tell your political leaders what you expect and what you want done.
Lieutenant Graves' secret meeting lasted 90 minutes. It was off any public schedule and unknown to members of the press.
How'd it go?
Seems like they recognize there is an issue, and they generally want to figure out what it is.
His account was heard by members of the congressional committees that oversee national security, as well as a team from the Defense Department.
At what point was it that people just stopped being interested in, unexplained things? I mean, that's kind of what drives us, right? We get out there and, we're learning new things. At least that's what drives me. We're trying to explore the unknown.